Hi folks, welcome to this week's Sunday Catechism. We're on the last one to look at the 8th Commandment, which is you shall not steal. Let me just read it. It's question 75, and then we'll just examine the verses that they use in proof and maybe another couple of examples from Thomas Watson. So, question 75. What is forbidden in the 8th Commandment? The 8th Commandment forbids anything that does or may unjustly reduce our own or our neighbour's wealth or possession. The 8th Commandment forbids anything that does or may unjustly reduce our own or our neighbour's wealth or possession. So the proof text they use for that, Proverbs 21:7, this is about yourself. If you love pleasure, you'll be a poor man. If you love oil and wine, you shall not get rich. So to be hedonistic is to end up robbing ourselves. Proverbs 23, don't be amongst winebibbers, amongst riotous eaters of flesh is the King James Version, but the gluttonous. For the drunkard and the glutton will come to poverty. And laziness or sleepiness clothes a man with rags. Again, this is part of just we're working hard to preserve our own wealth and the wealth of others justly. Proverbs 28:19, if you till your land, you'll have plenty of bread. But if you follow after proud people or vain people, you'll have poverty enough. And again, that's the same thing, isn't it? In the culture, we live in a culture where people have this kind of idea, well, the world owes me a living and I want to be this, I want to be that. I mean, I was thinking of a guy I saw recently just outside our church, and he kind of thought he was Elvis. He was, singing and wanting people to give him money. He wasn't going to get any money because he was pretty awful. I almost thought if I'd gone to him and said, look, why don't you just get a job? We would probably have thought that's ridiculous. I deserve so much more. He's in abject poverty. Ephesians 4:28, let him that steals steal no more, but let him working with his hands, which is a good thing, so that you give to those that have need. And I think there it's just the significance of work and the importance of work. It really is important. And I think the right to work is vital. And as the Bible would say also, to be paid a fair wage so that you can provide for yourself and for others. That's all tied in with this commandment. Now, Watson goes on to talk about the usurer, the person who charges an unjust interest. And we live in societies which are dominated by interest. And whether it's the gangster in the housing estate charging 1,000%, or whether it's the credit card company charging ridiculous levels, or, to be honest, I'm not even convinced about the government using interest rate as a means of controlling the economy. I think it's ridiculous that you're buying a house and you're paying a huge percentage of what you will finally pay in interest. There's the trustee, says Watson, who has the orphan's estate committed to him and then manages the estate for him and then does badly. He fleeces it for himself, Watson says. And he says that's worse than taking a purse by violence. You've been entrusted with something and you misuse it. There's the borrower who borrows from others but never intends to pay them back. And he also says there's the receiver of stolen goods. The receiver, if he's not the principal, yet is accessory to the theft, and the law makes him guilty. The thief steals the money, and the receiver holds the sack to put it in. So all of this is just requiring an explicit honesty. If someone comes up to me and offers me something that's really cheap, that's been stolen, I might say, well, I didn't steal it. Yeah, but you enabled the person who did steal it. Charging interest against people when excessive interest, let's say, may be fair enough to say, but I'm not even sure about that, to be honest. There are obviously different kinds of theft, but, God has given us time, God has given us abilities, and not to use those to advance ours and others' wealth is a sin. And by the way, it's not wrong to be wealthy as long as you are so justly, not by cheating, not by lying, not by usury, not by greed, and that you work also to provide for others, not just your family, but for those in need. And the church needs to think about how it does that as well. All right, We shall come back next week. We'll be on to the 9th commandment. God bless you and see you then. Bye.